Fruits Basket, the final season, closes out Fruits Basket and really focuses primarily on the relationship between Toru and Kyo, and also on Akito and the breaking of the curse. It's really those like three things that are like the primary focus of this. There is a sort of like conflict between Rabbit Boy and Akito towards the beginning of the show. The whole season sort of builds up to like Toru trying to figure out how to break the curse, only for us to find out that we don't know how the curse breaks in the first place, and then the curse just kind of breaks anyway. And I'm not quite sure why the curse breaks. I'm not sure if Akito releases it. I'm not sure if it's the realization and the memory of what the original promise was that created the curse in the first place. It's a little unclear, but what it does do is it pretty much gives every character their own sort of happy ending. I think everyone sort of ends up where you would have wanted them to following the Mouse Boy revelation in season 2. I think that was in season 2. I'm pretty sure it was season 2 where Toru gets mom zoned. But the large focus is on pretty much those three central characters. There's some really good character development for Kyo on this one, where he finally stops being an asshole and gets his shit together and becomes sort of like a more mature, put-together person. I still kind of don't like him. I do think that his romance with Toru is not really well fleshed out. Like, they just kind of like fall in love, and I'm not really sure where the connection is to that. It's implied that Toru's liked him for a long time. I don't get it. I did sort of like her with Mouse Boy. I think Mouse Boy would have been a better fit, but then Mouse Boy ended up with his like silent, emotionally wrecked girlfriend who I also like him with. Like, I think it ends in a good place. I just don't get the main coupling, and I think that's one of my big issues with Fruits Basket. I do really appreciate that this season delves very heavily into Toru's psyche, how she sees herself, her relationships to her past, her relationships with her mom, as well as reconciling her feelings of feeling like she's abandoning her mom when she starts to fall in love with Kyo. I do find it interesting that they sort of did a redemption arc for Akito, or not so far as to all the way redeem Akito, but show that Akito is willing to move forward to be redeemed, as well as closing out her romance. The one part of it that I feel a little not great about is that it is clearly like shown that a large part of Akito's like damaged psyche is created by sort of like abuses from her mother, but also just Akito was kind of just a shitty person. Like, the way it's specifically shown in this is that Akito's kind of always been like this because Akito's always been put up on a pedestal. But the mom has this huge fucking mental breakdown, and although she's always portrayed as like this fucking supervillain, as far as the villainous characters in this show, like the writer guy who is a really important character, but I can never remember his name, or Akito, the mom is actually one of the least villainous characters of the villains, and yet she's the only one that ends in a bad place, and I don't feel like it's fully deserved, honestly. I don't feel like Akito gets it hard enough for how much bullshit Akito puts everyone through, and I think the mom gets it too hard. Not that she's great and she necessarily deserved a happy ending, but if we're giving everyone a happy ending, I don't understand that. Yeah, final season was enjoyable, and I did like it. There's just a lot of like small complaints I have about it that I feel like really add up, and because of the focus on the main cast, like the central figures, I also feel like the side cast ends up getting a bit left to the wayside. So when we get their endings and we find out that they all ended happily, I would have liked to see a little more of that, and that way I almost feel like it was a little rushed despite being 13 seasons, and I definitely don't think they could have fit another 13 into it. So I'm not really sure how you would resolve that. But I think, if anything, final season needs a little more, almost. I know there's a movie that's supposed to expand on the ending. I'm really hoping that sort of solves a lot of my issues. Twitch and Discord in the description. I've been Sacrobolic. Your Envoy of Hope. Bye-bye.